What if I told you there's this multi-billion-dollar market that's absolutely vital to clean energy, but honestly, it's largely invisible to most people? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of those unsung heroes. We're taking a deep dive into the global carbon cloth gas diffusion layers, or GDL, market. Now, if you're wondering what GDLs even are, think of them like the lungs of a fuel cell. They're these incredibly thin, porous materials that let gases flow efficiently, but they also conduct electricity. They basically make fuel cells, a core technology for clean energy much more effective. Without them, scaling up things like hydrogen power would be, well, significantly harder. So we've got this fascinating set of projections here from Cognitive Market Research. It maps out the market's growth from 2021 all the way out to 2033. Our mission today, let's unpack these numbers, find the surprising hotspots of growth, and really see what this tells you about the future of energy.
Precisely. And this deep dive, it'll highlight not just the impressive scale, the sheer size of this foundational market, but also where and how this growth is actually unfolding across the globe. It's a real insight into the hidden components, the things that are truly enabling a greener future.
Yeah.
It shows us where the serious investment and expansion in clean energy are really happening.
Okay, let's unpack this then. First up, the big picture.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, this isn't some tiny niche market that's kind of slowing down. Nope. We're talking massive sustained growth over the next decade.
Yeah.
Back in 2021, the global carbon cloth GDL market was already valued at just over, $4.8 billion?
Right.
It's projected to jump to nearly $6.5 billion by 2025.
Okay.
And then really accelerate to a staggering $11.5 billion by 2033.
Wow. That kind of growth, it reflects a really solid compound annual growth rate, or FANG of about 7.5% globally. For you listening, think of CAGR as like the steady year-over-year growth rate. It smooths out the bumps, gives us a clearer picture of the long-term trend. And what's fascinating here, as you said, is how that global growth is spread out. It's definitely not uniform.
No, that all.
And that tells us quite a lot about regional priorities, in the emerging markets.
Yeah, you hit on a key point there. So to start, North America actually led the pack back in 2021. Their market value was around $1.4 billion then. It's expected to climb to over $3.2 billion by 2033, growing at a pretty steady 7.1% CAGR. But here's where it gets really interesting within North America itself. The United States, well, as you'd probably expect, contributes the lion's share. Started around $1.2 billion, projected to hit nearly $2.7 billion by 2033.
Which is significant, absolutely. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, look at Canada. Its growth trajectory is, well, quite surprising relative to its overall economy size, starting at just under $187 million in 2021.
Right.
It's projected to reach over $508 million by 2033. That's an impressive 8.7% CAGR.
Higher than the U.S.
Exactly. It suggests a particularly robust, maybe even aggressive push in its clean energy sector, specifically around adopting fuel cells.
Interesting. And Mexico, okay, starting from a smaller base, but it also shows solid growth, nearly doubling its market from around $44 million to over $84 million by 2033. So, yeah, North America is robust, but definitely has some fascinating internal dynamics going on.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, shifting gears now. Let's look at Asia Pacific, because this region is projected to actually be the largest market by 2033. That's a pretty significant shift. Asia Pacific generated almost $1.6 billion back in 2021. It's expected to soar, really, to a projected $4.1 billion by 2033.
Wow.
Its CGR is about 8.2%. That makes it the strongest growth region overall.
Okay.
Key players here include China and Japan, both showing consistent growth. China is expected to more than double its GDL market from over $545 million to nearly $1.3 billion by 2033.
Right, strong numbers. But this raises an important question, doesn't it? What on earth is driving the incredible surge in India?
Ah, yes, India.
Starting from about $227 million in 2021, it's projected to reach nearly $785 million by 2033.
That is huge growth.
It's a staggering 10.9% CAGR. That is by far the strongest growth globally among all the countries in this data set.
Incredible.
Now, our source gives us the numbers, but it doesn't detail the specific policies or, the investments driving this. However, such a dramatic increase, it strongly suggests major national commitments to hydrogen, to fuel cell tech. It could potentially position India as a global leader in this emerging space.
Yeah.
That's a truly significant figure for anyone tracking this space to note.
Absolutely. And we also see other strong performers in the region, too, like South Korea, which is set to nearly triple its market to almost $400 million. And Australia also showing remarkable growth. nearing $323 million by 2033. Both of those have CGRs over 8.6%.
Yep.
It really paints a picture of this dynamic, rapidly expanding clean energy ecosystem right across Asia.
Definitely the region to watch.
For sure. Okay, now let's move over to Europe. Their market was around $1.16 billion in 2021. It's growing to nearly $2.63 billion by 2033. So that's a healthy 7% key AGR. Here we're seeing more, let's say, mature, but still expanding markets.
Yeah, and if we dive into Europe a bit, we see robust, pretty consistent growth across the board, really. Key players like Germany and the UK, they're contributing significantly, both growing around that 7.3 to 7.5% CAGR mark. It reflects their, established commitments to green technology.
Established players.
But what's particularly interesting, I think, is Spain. For Europe, it's truly accelerating.
Oh, yeah.
Started at about $100 million, projected to reach over $260 million by 2033. That gives it an impressive 8.3% CAGR.
Wow, okay.
Which indicates a particularly strong push, maybe catching up, in its fuel cell adoption compared to some neighbors.
That's interesting. And Italy also shows solid growth, right?
Yeah.
Its market is more than doubling.
Yeah.
And then you've got other countries like France, Russia, the Nordic nations. They all contribute significantly to this large European market, all showing steady increases in GDL adoption.
So steady growth overall, but with some, Spain really pushing ahead.
Exactly. Okay, next up, South America. This region's market values were around $317 million back in 2021. They're forecasted to hit nearly $800 million by 2033. That's a strong CAGR of about 8%.
And here's another fantastic example of rapid regional expansion, actually quite similar to India in terms of Colombia.
Colombia, okay.
Moving from about $52 million to over $142 million. That's an 8.7% CAGR.
Right up there with Canada and Australia.
Exactly. It's one of the markets truly accelerating. It really highlights, I think, concentrated investment and specific policy efforts in certain Latin American economies. It's not just a blanket growth.
That makes sense. We also see leading national increases in Brazil, expected to more than double its market to over $335 million.
Big market.
In Argentina, too, nearly tripling its market size to over $194 million. Both have strong key GRs, around 7.8 and 8.2% respectively.
So yeah, South America is certainly a region to keep an eye on for significant growth bursts.
Definitely. Okay, quick look at the Middle East. Their market was around $173 million in 2021, projected to more than double to over $436 million by 2033. That's an 8% CGR, right in line with South America. Key nations driving this growth are Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Egypt, all showing really impressive key GRs over 8%.
Yeah, which indicates a growing regional focus, perhaps diversifying away from traditional energy towards cleaner solutions.
Seems like it. And finally, Africa. The market there stood at about $135 million in 2021, expected to reach nearly $293 million by 2033. The key GR here is a bit lower, around 6.5%.
Okay.
Nigeria and South Africa are the primary contributors here. Both are more than doubling their markets, which is good, but it shows, let's say, promising but maybe more moderate growth compared to some of the other regions we've discussed.
Yeah, a different pace, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So after all that, what does this all mean for you, the learner? I think this deep dive into carbon cloth GDLs, it clearly shows a global market that is just surging forward. It's driven hard by the expanding fuel cell and clean energy industries. That much is clear.
Absolutely.
We're seeing rapid growth pretty much across the board. But with Asia Pacific and South America really setting a blistering pace. And countries like India and Colombia, I mean, they're leading the charge with these incredible near double-digit KDRs.
Indeed. And this data, it really underscores that while the established markets, North America and Europe, continue their steady climb, these newer markets in the Middle East, parts of South America, and Africa are progressively gaining significant share. It truly highlights the global commitment, the investment in foundational clean energy technologies, even in components like GDLs that might seem, well, behind the scenes.
Totally behind the scenes.
And the fact that the fastest growth is often in emerging economies. That speaks volumes about the global reach of this energy transition. It's not just a developed world thing.
That's a great point. So for you, the learner, this isn't just about market numbers, right? It's really about understanding the underlying currents of the future. The growth of what seems like a niche component, like these GDLs, can tell us so much about where global innovation and, frankly, investment are truly headed. It shows us not just the scale, but the actual geography of the clean energy revolution.
Yeah, which raises an important question, I think. If the growth of something like GDLs is such a strong indicator for fuel cells and clean energy expansion,
Hmm.
what other hidden components might be signaling similar foundational shifts in other critical industries that you might be tracking?
Hmm.
It really makes you wonder what else is out there silently powering the future that we just don't see every day.
That is definitely something to mull over as you go about your day. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Welcome to a deep dive into something you might not have heard of, but which is absolutely essential to our clean energy future: carbon cloth gas diffusion layers, or GDLs. Our mission today is really to unpack this vital, fast-evolving segment of the clean energy value chain, giving you kind of a shortcut to understanding its importance, its challenges, and, well, where it's headed. Think of it as peeling back the layers on a crucial technology.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how these seemingly small components are actually enabling some of the biggest shifts in sustainable energy. Carbon cloth GDLs are a vital part of proton exchange membrane fuel cells, PEM fuel cells. They basically enable optimal gas permeability and, at the same time, efficient electrical conductivity. Both are absolutely essential for delivering consistent power in fuel cell stacks.
Okay, right, consistent power. So let's unpack this a bit more. Why these carbon cloth GDLs? Why are they becoming such a hot topic right now? What's driving this momentum?
Well, I think the first big driver is simply the rising demand for fuel cells themselves across various clean energy applications. I mean, we're seeing fuel cells adopted in automotive, portable, stationary use cases, as countries aim to decarbonize their energy systems.
And that translates directly to GDLs because, well, they're fundamental to the efficiency of these fuel cells. They allow for that consistent power delivery we mentioned.
Right. And here's where it gets, I think, really interesting. Technological advancements in the carbon fiber materials themselves.
Exactly. Recent breakthroughs in manufacturing have led to GDLs that are more durable, highly conductive, and capable of enduring higher temperatures. These improvements aren't just scientific, they're practical enablers. They extend fuel cell lifespans, enhance performance, especially crucial in industrial energy and next-gen automotive technologies. Okay, so better materials making better fuel cells possible.
Hmm.
And we can't forget the role of governments here, can we? Favorable policies, investments, that must be playing a critical role too.
Oh, absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, you see countries like the United States, Europe, Japan, South Korea, they're actively strengthening the hydrogen economy, pushing for widespread adoption of fuel cell infrastructure through things like tax incentives, direct funding, collaborative pilot programs. This directly boosts demand for reliable gas diffusion layers, like carbon cloth.
So a lot of positive momentum then. But it's never quite that simple, is it? What does this all mean when we look at the hurdles the industry faces? It's not all smooth sailing.
No, definitely not. For starters, the high cost,
Hmm.
raw materials, complex manufacturing processes, it keeps prices elevated. And these economic barriers are especially tough for price-sensitive sectors. Think automotive fuel cells, where reducing that cost per watt is just critical for commercialization.
Cost is always a big one. And you mentioned complexity. What about the supply chain? Is that another issue?
Yeah, it really is. And this raises an important question. With only a handful of global suppliers producing the necessary high-grade carbon fiber and these specialized GDL components, well, there's a significant risk. Material shortages, trade disruptions. This limited supplier base adds a layer of fragility impacting scalability and delivery timelines.
Fragility in the supply chain. That's concerning. On top of cost and supply, are there still technical difficulties within the fuel cell stack itself?
Oh, yes. Manufacturers still face real challenges in water and heat management. It's tricky. If the GDL doesn't balance humidity and thermal properties correctly, it might suffer from flooding where water blocks the gas paths or drying out. Both can severely degrade fuel cell performance. And ensuring consistent quality at mass production levels, that remains a key hurdle for the industry. It's tough.
Okay, so significant challenges remain. Yet the future still holds immense opportunity, right? Through emerging trends. Where is the industry heading? What's exciting you?
Well, there's a clear direction towards an increased focus on PEM fuel cells, particularly in the automotive sector. Automakers are investing aggressively. Fuel cell buses, commercial trucks, even personal vehicles. And these require high-performance GDLs that can handle really intensive power loads and variable driving conditions.
Right, the demands are getting tougher. And we're also witnessing this global surge in green hydrogen initiatives. That must connect directly.
It absolutely does. Countries are investing heavily in electrolysis plants, hydrogen storage infrastructure, and since carbon cloth GDLs are instrumental in both electrolyzers and fuel cells, their role in this whole hydrogen economy is just critical and growing fast.
Both sides of the equation, interesting. And finally, I think you mentioned a shift toward customized and maybe lightweight GDL designs.
That's right. Manufacturers are now tailoring GDLs. Specific thicknesses, pore sizes, hydrophobic properties, really fine-tuning them to meet the unique demands of various fuel cell applications. These optimized layers help deliver more efficient energy output, longer cell life, whether it's for heavy-duty transport or, compact, portable power solutions. Customization is key.
So bringing it all together then, what does this all mean for the carbon cloth gas diffusion layers market? It sounds like a really dynamic landscape, full of technological breakthroughs, policy tailwinds, these ambitious energy transformation goals. But while challenges remain in cost, supply chain reliability, and engineering optimization.
The market's long-term potential is, I think, undeniable. This all points to a truly transformative era for clean energy, with these unsung heroes, the GDLs, right there at its core.
So what stands out to where you, thinking about all this, how these tiny complex layers are shaping our energy future? Maybe consider how innovation in what seems like such a small component can have this massive ripple effect on global energy policies, on the whole, move towards a more sustainable world. Something to think about.